What is up, Rap Potential YouTube, and welcome to today's video where we are
Hi, welcome to Arby's.
howdy. Drive through life with a loud car. Gotta love it. Alright, so as you've seen, this is kind of what it's like to drive a Bridgeport RX7 on your morning errands. It bucks and kicks when you don't want it to. It's loud, so well, I guess you could have a Bridgeport and have it not be loud, but why would you? So it's loud, you gotta turn it off in the drive-thru, and but it's fun, they rip, as I'll demonstrate for you here. Especially on a rainy morning, it's like the perfect morning to have a 12A Bridgeport with a very nice limited slip. Just get a wrap right on past everybody here in the turning lane. Getting ready to make a super sweet dash bar for the first gen. So I've got one side already cut with the notcher. This is your standard issue Harbor Freight notcher. This is a 2-inch hole saw. This is an 1 3/4 pipe. This is going to be not as pronounced or as sharp as it normally would be. But this is going to get me close. I don't have this size here. Regardless, I'll still have to clean this up a little bit with the grinder and make it a little bit sharper, so you want to cut it a little bit shallower. I did want to point out one thing. If you're doing this kind of stuff, we'll call it the super early tip and trick of the video. If you're cutting a straight tube, or any tube for that matter, you need to make sure that when you put it in the tube notcher, you've got them lined up. And if you're like me and you don't do this a lot and you forget, there's actually a seam in your pipes. You can see it, not really, but usually I would line up the seam with the top or the bottom of my existing notch, and then if you have to do one that's straight, you can do it off of that. But in this case, I didn't do that. So I've got my magnet level here on my pipe. You fit it in there. Notice the bottom bubble level. Nice and flat, nice and flush in the pipe all the way around. So that means I've got it clamped down straight, so whenever I do my other notch, they aren't like canted funny. So because this is an exact straight bar. So I've got that C-clamp over there because it's just me here. I don't have another person to hold it. So that's about where it's going to sit, so I can rest on that. And then this side, I've got to basically set it in here. The nice part about this cage is the cage kind of You can see this bar is not perfectly straight here. It kind of goes inward. Same on that side. So I'm going to make the bar fit a little high and then just kind of walk it down by grinding it into the height that I want. I did preliminary kind of measure some stuff, and I don't know that I'm going to actually hit this. Might hit it a little bit, so we may have to notch that, but shouldn't be too bad. And I'm going to try to get it maybe a little bit higher than I thought instead of resting it on this little motor, so it might sit up a little bit higher, which might give you a chance at getting this the heater thing out, but you never know. And looking at this, if my dash bar runs right through here, okay, these are the tubes that feed your defrost. I should be able to just barely bend and smash these out of the way a little bit, and that pipe will fit right where my fingers are, but they come right through there. So we should still be good. The whole intent, like my intent, is making sure that the defrost still works. Gotta have defrost. It's very important, at least I think it is. And if I'm going to delete it, well then that kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say ruins it as a race car for me because it'd still be fun. But a race car without defrost is not fun. So that's that. Kind of while we're here too, which you'll see this further, probably in the time lapse here, because I'm going to get that fixed and welded in, and then we'll start. See me kind of put this in, take it out, cut some stuff out of here, etc. I'm probably not going to keep this piece of pipe here. These corner vents are going to be disconnected on both sides, this and this. The defroster tube ends here, and I'm just going to cap that right at this point. You can see this little, this is like the defrost for your side driver window or passenger window. We're going to delete that portion of it. Will be coming off because it's already cut off over here to defrost that section anyways. So all of this ductwork will come out. And then the dashes in these, actually, when you put your car together or take it apart, the whole dash plugs in through these two plugs. Okay, so crawl under the dash, unplug these two things. Don't take anything out as far as like your radio. Leave it in. Take the shifter off. Disconnect these two big ducts right here. These ducts can all stay attached. Your trim panels can pretty much stay attached. All you need to do is disconnect the bolts that are here, the bolts that are back there, the bolts that are here on each side, and literally the entirety of the dash, wiring and all, gauge cluster and all, disconnect your speedometer cable, will basically just lift out. And you're done. So I'm going to try to do that in reverse. I didn't know that until I started taking this apart, because I don't really work on like newer FB stuff that much. All my stuff is SA, so it's a lot less engineered, we'll say. But that's a cool thing. So I'm going to try to build this dash on the side, and we'll put it back together. I had thought about it, maybe we ought to find a black dash to put in this car, because it would probably look nicer and whatever, but I don't have a black dash here. I have that red dash, which is fine and dandy and good and clean enough. I need to make a panel to delete the glove box and put some switches and stuff there. I'm going to give the passenger control of all the lights and stuff, so generally in rally you wouldn't want to have to like as a driver, you don't want to worry about turning the off-road lights on or stuff like that. So I'll probably make a switch panel over there that has the main kill and some other things. It's still reasonably within reach of the driver, but it's not going to be like, in the center console, nevertheless, which I could do it there, but it needs a glove box delete panel because some jabroni, it wasn't me, decided to cut the dash up right here to add a panel. So I'm just going to delete that panel and then see what I can do about this. It might have to have like a little, I don't know, we'll see. This red dash is super nice besides this little section. Maybe I'll fill that with some foam or something and do my best to make it look presentable, but with a little bit of cleaning, this dash should be plenty fine. So anyways, that's what I'm up to. Enjoy watching me do stuff. Alright guys, so we're doing some custom stuff right now. And not entirely going with the whole build laps, whatever crazy theme. Anyways, so I've got my pedal box painted. I got the dash itself all touched up. Everything, the framework and stuff, just quick scuff and spray black. Got to touch this section up here. So if you notice, there's this like section on the dash where it had been basically... Alright, so if you notice, there's this section on the dash right here where it had been chopped up for whatever reason. With the help of some of my Facebook friends, I was able to find the Sim has a paint for vinyl that's going to match this burgundy back to its original goodness. So I've got some of that ordered, and we'll be getting to that this week. Hopefully it comes before Christmas, but I'm not entirely counting on it, so it might be after Christmas. But for right now, tonight, I'm going to go ahead and test fit the dash. We're going to trim the dash for the dash bar and whatever. But here, I just want to show you this because I'm kind of just going to do it. And I don't think it's really going to be a great way for me to like show this. I just have some 2-part epoxy and probably some like cardboard or something. But I took a section of the dash off right here. I didn't like how it was just out floating in the middle of nowhere. It's going to interfere with the dash bar and stuff, so we just deleted it. Still have the mount on this side. But that leaves me some extra vinyl. I'm going to take this extra vinyl, and although it might not be a perfect match, it doesn't have to be because I'm going to be repainting this dash. So I'm going to take some of this extra vinyl and see about building this part of this up in here. I may use some like expanding foam and then do my best to cut it. Glue this vinyl over it, this piece here, and then I'll paint over this so it won't be as intrusive as what it is right here. That's my goal. I'll show you how it turns out, and then however it turns out, I'll show you the process as best I can as well. So let's get to doing that. I did go ahead and accumulated all of the bits here. So bezel, the cluster, shifter surround, another bezel. It's got a cracked ashtray. Switches are all cleaned up. The wiring harness for the dash, a HVAC control. I've got to trim this little piece here to fit the roll cage, and once I get that fitted, then I'll start working on this. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. The dash bar is in and painted, and it looks fire. What do you think of that? And then I've got to put the block-off panels back on for those vents. We've got 2 plastic pieces that go over there that are sealed. No overspray on anything because I prep well. How about that? So, that's what I'm doing. Also, welding this sucked. I had to like contort my body to get down in there and make that happen. Chill. Alright, y'all, so I don't really know what's been going on in this video so far because it's been like the weekend and a couple of days, and I filmed a whole lot of stuff, so we'll see whenever we get closer to me editing this. But anyways, it's the end of the night. I've got the harness shoved back through here, as you guys have seen. The dash bar doesn't complicate too many things with regard to the harness, but know that these 2 giant plugs right here is what plug into the dash sub harness. These go above your pedal assembly, so there's a spot back up in there. You can see the wires going back up behind it. Those would be the 2 big plugs that plug into the dash sub harness, so that goes there. Then you've got, I removed this like big box plate thing right here as all one unit. There's a stud on the cowl, and then a stud on your pedal box that this thing mounts to. Bunch of controllers. Don't remember where these 2 wires go to, but they live over here. nonetheless by the fuse block. The fuse block mounts to the dash frame, so it's going to sit right about here. Then you've got your assorted plugs for your brake sensor and your other stuff there. The little harness that has the circle doodads plugs into the gauge cluster. So when you put your whole dash in, you'll want to leave the cluster out and then put the cluster in after you get the dash in. The harness with a bunch of thick wires and like 2-prong boys is what plugs into your ignition harness here. So these go there and there. And then I think this is for the cruise control here. So I'll have to figure out where this plug goes, but it looks as if maybe it goes here. I got a pretty thin wire guy to a thin wire guy coming in, so, or no, that goes into the ignition harness. That takes this guy. Maybe this is part of the dash harness. I don't know. I'll have to check where the cruise control wires go. I don't need them, but we'll at least plug them into wherever they're supposed to be if I left that part on the dash harness. So, fortunately / unfortunately, whenever you start rewrapping and modifying your original cooked into position 1980s dash harness, it's going to not remember its shape that well. So you may have to try to figure out where things go. But pretty stoked to be putting this together. I do have to drop the blower motor box back out because that harness actually runs the perimeter behind it and then comes down the side and would plug in. You can see there's a plug top right between the cage bar and the blower motor. So a couple bolts on the blower box, it'll come out. We'll put it back up after I route the harness, no big deal. Your engine harness comes in over there as well because the ECU lives on the floor. And you can normally feed that ECU harness in with the blower in place. So no big deal on that. I am still planning to make a tube to connect these two things. But I know I've got somebody that watches the videos that has one. But if I decide not to make one, or if what I'm going to do fails, because I'm going to make one out of some like sheet steel, real thin sheet metal, and basically as long as the circumference of the square side is the same as the triangle side, we'll be pretty good. But that's kind of my intent there. So yeah, I don't know if the video's ending here, but here's the engine harness chilling. Y'all might be like, what the heck, why didn't he freshen up the engine harness while you did the whole other side of the dash harness? Because it is one bit. And my thoughts are, I'm going to wait until I start assembling the engine bay to start doing what I want to do with the harness. I know that like the relays that live here are going to stay here. I know that some of this stuff, which is like your main battery connection, your distributor wiring, is going to stay. But I don't know where I want to route some of the headlight wiring up through here. So, because of that, I'm going to wait to redo this until then, because I may, shorten length and do whatever I need to do. And I can clean this up whenever I'm putting the engine bay together. So there's a whole lot of effort to redo this section of the harness. Here's the sub-harness. It goes over to that side. All this stuff lives up over here. So, boom. Harness installed. So, still waiting on, it's only been half a day or day since I think I told you this last, but dash paint to come in. I did fill this piece with some styrofoam. So, what I'll do now is shave this as flush with that dash as possible. And then if you recall, I cut this out of one side of the dash I was taking apart. So this is the original dash vinyl. I've got some epoxy, and we'll glue that patch back in there as best we can. And then we'll paint the whole dash burgundy again. So this will look all brand new. Once that's painted, we'll assemble the dash and install it in the car. And then we're like moving and shaking. So this is the 100% the reason why I did not paint the entirety of the interior already. Notice how scuffed up the dash bar is, how scuffed up the floor is just from me hopping around in here. scuffed up the roll cage bar is right there from putting the dash in. So basically, when I go to put the dash in, once the dash itself's in, I'll mask the dash. I'll mask off the dash, and then respray everything in the back. You're like, well, you don't want to get overspray on anything. Well, yes, I don't want to get overspray on anything. I do not. But I can make a nice fine line through here somewhere, through on the firewall, underneath the pedals, and get everything that you're going to really like see, fresh and white in one shot. So it should look like $1,000,000. That's where I'm leaving off for now. Still got a few bits to tidy up on that side, but nothing major. And I say nothing major. We're literally putting an entire car back together. So, nothing major for the Rad Ranch, but so today I had to get the foam out, right? You had to buy a foam can to do the dash. Well, I noticed some light coming through my, up here in the shop as this makes a video. Noticed some light coming through up there, so I went ahead and used the rest of the spray foam can on some cracks around the door. Nothing major, but just I could see daylight through them, so I was going to seal them all up. I'm going to venture a guess that I trapped a mouse in there. I'd bet I trapped a mouse in there. So we'll see how long you last. But I got the harness in for tonight. That was my goal. I'm calling it a night. If this is the end of the video, thank you guys very much for watching. Have a wonderful Merry Christmas. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.